I hope that it goes without saying at this point, but just in case you're new to my channel, I have absolutely no interest in any of these classic consoles or minis or whatever you want to call them. I only play physical copies of games. Almost everything I own is boxed, and I barely ever play AAA games outside of the Mega Man series, so they have no appeal to me. I mean, we've been able to play these games for 25 or 30 years. Most of them aren't even in short supply. I just don't get it. Why? No. I'm not going to insult other people's gaming decisions. I'm going to respect the fact that other people are different from me. I can do this. So anyways, I've seen there's a lot of hype for the upcoming PlayStation Classic. Now I'm assuming that this is being planned for North America and Europe, because in Japan, PlayStation 1 games across the board are so cheap, it's just sad. AAA games in particular, stuff like Metal Gear, Resident Evil, and Crash Bandicoot are like $1 each. They're literally worthless. I mean, you can't even pay people to take them off your hands. Maybe Final Fantasy VII will cost you a whopping $10, but for the most part, no one wants them, so it wouldn't really make sense to release an emulation machine filled with them. But after getting a question on one of my videos asking what games I would choose for the PlayStation Classic, it occurred to me, what if we packed it full of hidden gems? After all, the PlayStation has over 3,000 games, and a lot of the best ones were only released in Japan. So, I've made a list of the 20 games that would come with the PS Classic if it were marketed towards hardcore, 2D-centric retro gamers. Let's take a look. Number 1. The Adventures of Little Ralph. This 2D platformer obviously didn't have enough copies made because it's now one of the most expensive games on the console. Everyone should get the opportunity to play it, even those who don't have $200 to spend on one game. Number 2. Harmful Park. It's not the best horizontal scrolling shooter ever, but it is a real work of art and out of most people's price range, so making it available to everyone at a reasonable price is a no-brainer. And the multiplayer bonus games are an awesome perk. Number 3. Gegege no Kitaro. This was Konami's last game for the PlayStation, and accordingly, the hardest one to get a hold of. It does a great job of bringing the comic to life in a video game, and has you facing off against tons of spooky demons from the series. Number 4. Gunner's Heaven. With only a limited release in Europe and totally passed over in America, Gunner's Heaven can be hard to get a hold of outside of Japan. Which is a shame, because it's a great 2D run-and-gun with gameplay similar to Gunstar Heroes. Number 5. Zanac Neo. This was Compile's last shooter, and everyone who loves the genre should have it. It's technically a sequel to Zanac, which was one of their earlier shooters on the MSX and NES. It was only released in Japan and is relatively expensive, so putting it on the PS Classic would make it much more obtainable. Number 6. Skullmonkeys. From the same people that gave us Earthworm Jim, Skullmonkeys is the pinnacle of 2D platforming. It's huge, requires lots of skilled jumps, and has wonderfully playful music and tons of secrets. Number 7. Rapid Angel. This one is somewhere between a platformer and a single-plane beat-em-up. It was made by a fledgling company called TGApuleius and places as much emphasis on visuals and story as it does on action. It definitely deserves to be known by more gamers. Number 8. Money Idol Exchanger. Arguably the greatest versus puzzle game of all time, Money Idol Exchanger has you rearranging Japanese coins into higher values, while hyper-cutesy anime characters cheer you on. Much easier to learn than Puyo Puyo, and an amazing party game. Number 9. Hermie Hopperhead. This game was supposed to be Sony's answer to Mario, although gamers in the West never got a chance to see what it was like. With countless secret pathways and levels, Hermie Hopperhead will keep even experts playing for hours. Number 10. Brightis. While most 3D games on the PS1 have aged poorly, this one is special. It's Quintet's last full-scale action RPG. Too bad it never got an English translation. If you enjoyed Soul Blazer or Illusion of Gaia, you'll definitely want to play this. Number 11. Yakiniku Bugyo. Now here's a weird one. Yakiniku Bugyo is an action puzzle game that has you grilling meat and vegetables to serve to hungry customers. It also has a 2-player versus mode, which is easy to grasp and makes for fun gaming sessions no matter your skill level. Number 12. Kitchen Panic. Known to only the select few who have seriously attempted it as one of the hardest platformers of all time, Kitchen Panic really needs more publicity. Don't let the graphics fool you. A person could end up in an asylum trying to beat it. Number 13. Coro Postonin. A great game with a strange name. This is essentially a variation on the old arcade game Camel Try, where you guide a ball through a level by spinning the screen around. Except in this case, you're guiding a little girl through a town to deliver mail. Number 14. Queen. Admittedly, this is not exactly a masterpiece of a shooter, but it is definitely a hidden gem. You shoot your way through levels themed around fairy tales while riding a magical vacuum that helps you by sucking up enemies. Number 15. Sound Cube. This is a puzzle game where you shoot sonar through blocks to figure out which block is what type by listening to the sound each one makes as the sonar passes through it. Probably the most unique idea I've ever seen for a puzzle game. Number 16. Community Palm. Here's a traditional 2D action RPG that also incorporates some simulation features by having you raise rabbit-like animals called palms in their own little town. It's a bit on the easy side, but there are a good number of secrets, and the soundtrack is super catchy. Number 17. Nabe Kazoku. This game is a spin-off of the previously mentioned Yakiniku Bugyo, but this time you're dealing with hot pot and feeding yourself instead of customers. The addition of special items and food combinations that multiply your score make this one surprisingly addictive. Number 18. Goemon Shinsedai Shumei. In Japan, there were 4 mystical ninja games for the PlayStation, and somehow we didn't get any of them in the West. Shinsedai Shumei is almost certainly the best one. It has a slightly modern graphical style, but the same quality gameplay as the Super Famicom games. Number 19. Gaia Seed. Like Harmful Park, it's not the best shooter in terms of gameplay, but Gaia Seed gets the basics right and the presentation is really polished. The graphics and music do an excellent job of transporting you to an alternate world being taken over by a supercomputer. Number 20. Bubsy 3D. Just kidding. The real number 20 is Kyoro-chan no Purikura Daisakusen. Never heard of it, you say? That's because Kyoro-chan is probably the most hidden gem gaming has ever known. It's a platformer based on a snack company's mascot, but the gameplay is way better than what you would expect from a character game. Obviously, few companies would be bold enough to release a compilation of such obscure games, and these mini consoles are aimed at casual gamers anyways. They may very well prefer to play Resident Evil. Again. But I love 2D games, and most of the 2D games on the PlayStation stayed in Japan, so if they appeared on the PS Classic, it would give more people a chance to play them. If you have any other lesser-known PlayStation games that you think deserve more credit than they actually get, tell me about them in the comments, and I will see you in the next episode.